Okay, so I'm sorry, a little window popped up there. It said I was live, and I'm like waiting for the live banner, and I'm like, wait a second, and it was behind that window. Racing against the Florida afternoon thunderstorms that are rolling in from the east, but I wanted to come down here. Again, I'm down here at Krabby's on the Pass. I'm always here on Sunday mornings for a cup of Ray. It's usually that Sojourn for the sports savvy soul. That Sunday morning, I'm talking about grabbing that coffee cup. Of course, some of y'all may be drinking coffee in the evenings, and I forget who I was talking to earlier this week, and they said, yeah, I'll generally have a cup of coffee in the evening. And I said, before you go to bed? And I said, yeah. I said, okay. A couple of things I just wanted to talk with y'all about. I'm really anxious to see some comments here tonight. First of all, I've had so much dialogue with everybody this week. Last night's game versus those Tennessee Titans. We played a better team. They were better coached. Vrabel had them guys ready to go. We had 73 starters on the bench. I get it. It's preseason. We're supposed to see matchups. You didn't want to see Aaron Stinney, who most of us had heard was actually competing for that starting left guard position or in that mix with the Nick Leverett and, of course, the rookie Luke Gadecki. You didn't want to see Stinney go down with that injury. You wonder why he's playing late in the third quarter with other fourth, fifth, and sixth round draft picks. But to me, and I want to know your comments tonight, I didn't like the way the game was coached. And, we talk about being out coached. It's only Todd Bowles' second game. It's only a second preseason game. Derek Jones, I know you're out there, and we talked about this. It is preseason. I don't expect the score to matter because in another week after that, there's only 3 preseason games now, remember, because there's 17 regular season games. We're talking about that tonight. Like to see your comments. Also, the comment out of Todd Bowles this last week, and I'm going to get to Dana White, of course, the UFC, the leader of the UFC, and those comments he had last night during that live fight. He had Rob Gronkowski and some friends there, and he drops the fact that he had lined up Tom and Gronk to go out to play for those Los Angeles or Las Vegas Raiders, and he said it was in the bag until the last minute when John Gruden blew that thing up. And it makes you start to wonder, of course, Rob Gronkowski was still under contract with the Patriots and Tom Brady was a free agent, but you start to mess with that tampering. And, I was being the devil's advocate today and I said, wow, I wonder if it's because Deshaun Watson news is already water under the bridge, because if it's a week ago and Deshaun Watson and we're waiting for Sue L. Robinson's comments to drop as far as what she was looking for, of course, she lays down a 6-game suspension. The NFL and the NFLPA and Watson's camp settle on an 11-game suspension and $5 million. But you wonder if there would have been news if you would have talked about the Las Vegas Raiders or whoever was setting that up, talking and trying to get a Rob Gronkowski to come play for those Raiders in 2020 because he was under contract. Of course, the Bucs had to shuffle a couple of 7th-round draft picks and make a trade with the New England Patriots, and they didn't stop it because they knew Gronk wanted to come here and play with Tom. But Dana White drops last night that he had it all but done. But my thing was this last week, and here's the thing. We bought in. It's been unanimous. I got a comment right here. Johnny Dean says coaching had nothing to do with it. They don't game plan for preseason, Ray. And, Johnny, I get that. I don't expect them to game plan. I don't want to see it. But I know when they went to the sidelines, when that was blowing up, you bring in Blaine Gabbert for 3 plays, and then they boom, 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 and then you set him out. I have no idea why they even have Blaine go in there except for the fact he's trying to prove that he remembers how to put that uniform on. And then you bring Kyle Trask in. And if you're going to coach as shitty as they did, then I would have rather seen Ryan Griffith get in there and play. And not just because Kyle Trask had a bad game coming off of the good game he had last week against the Miami Dolphins. But the run, pass against the Miami Dolphins. They ran on first down. Then they were coming out of a pass. And guys and girls comment here tonight. I know it's not about coaching. It's the preseason. A lot of these guys you want to see them get tape for these kids to get on another practice squad or to maintain a team or to continue their career, or maybe getting tape for the USFL or the XFL. But my point of the matter is that there was a point when it looked to the sidelines when they were going 3 and out, absolutely positively. Even if you're just going to run the ball, run, get to the sideline and punt. Run, get to the sideline and punt. Run, get to the sideline and punt. You got 73 wide receivers on the sideline. I saw a Buccaneers team last night that was completely and utterly outcoached by Mike Vrabel and those Tennessee Titans. And I know coaching has nothing to do with the final score because you're playing with a lot of guys that are going to be selling shoes at Foot Locker next week. I don't mean to put down the players that are trying to get their hustle on, but we know a lot of these guys, and they bring that 83 or 85 down to 53 for the regular season. There's a lot of guys that aren't going to be in uniform. There's maybe some of them that are never going to play the game again. I get that. I don't hold them responsible. But as far as the discombobulation with the play calling, and you send Blaine Gabbert out for one series, which again, I have absolutely no reason why, especially in light of the fact that I was just about to get to. Todd Bowles had them comments during after the practice last week, and you guys and girls, you heard this and comment for me. Todd Bowles' exact comment was when they asked about Tom Brady when he's coming back, and he said, "We don't have a date yet for that, but we'll revisit it after the Tennessee Titans game." Okay, so all this was planned months in advance. You knew about it. You knew Tom was going to step away from the team. You didn't need to worry about him getting the timing with Julio or with Russell Gage. You didn't worry about the team working together. This was pre-planned, as Jason Light and Todd Bowles and just about everyone else who was singing that same song said. It was pre-planned, but yet there's no return date. So how is it pre-planned with an open-ended back date, and you say that you don't know when he returns, but you'll revisit? And it wasn't just Todd Bowles was upset with the media or he was playing that savvy coaching media game. Todd Bowles' exact words were, "We don't have a return date yet for him. We'll revisit it after the Tennessee Titans game." And that, guys and girls, is when my antenna went up, because I'm like, I get it. Maybe Giselle had that big 45th birthday party. Maybe Tom retired. And this is a lot of the prognoses, or if you will, the people were saying that maybe he had that big 2-week trip, or he's doing the Brazilian masked singer, and you're going to see Tom's going to take the mask off, take the mask off, and he's going to become a Brazilian god. Of course, Giselle being from Brazil, wouldn't that just be the cat's meow? Although I don't think any of us ever thought for a minute that would be the reason why Tom Brady would step away from your Buccaneers in 2022 in the preseason, knowing how thorough that. And there's no other play in the league next to, other than a Aaron Rodgers or maybe a Patrick Mahomes or these other players that you could feel could step away from the team for a 2-week period and come back, the greatest of all time. I don't think we're not trying to decipher here why he's been away or what implications this could have on the team. But my point is, if the tune all along is that this was well planned in advance, we knew he was coming back. And all Todd Bowles has to say to answer that reporter's question at that press conference is after the Tennessee Titans game, all will be revealed. Fine. But in the exact wording, and that's what we do. That's what we in the media do. We listen for the little things. Because sometimes these coaches and these players are versed. They're very well versed in how to not to give the answers, how to not give away too much, how to keep it in-house. But we hear that he says there is no set return date, but we'll revisit it after the Titans game. And that's when I wonder, okay, was it pre-planned? How far in advance was it pre-planned? Why is there no set comeback date? Why is it not Tom's not back on Monday morning? And we may find him tomorrow. He may be over at the Advent Health Training Facility, One Buck Place, returning to be with those Buccaneers as they prepare to play the Indianapolis Colts in week 3, which Tom's still not going to see any time in that game. But going back to last night's game, you run Blaine Gabbert out there, you run 3 crappy calls, you grab him to the sideline, you bring Kyle Trask in, you're working all these players in. I get it. It's preseason. It's situational football. But that team, to a man, was outcoached. No, here's the thing. Even if the desire is just to get on the plane and get out of Tennessee, because we know, guys and girls, we all agree, most of these players are getting their work in the scrimmages. Those 2 days of scrimmages at the Tennessee Titans facility, or last week when the Dolphins were up here and they were over at the One Buck Place, the Advent Health Training Facility, there's a lot more going on in those 2 days of scrimmage than in the dress rehearsal. But you still dress all the players up. You have Blaine run out. You have him run 3 plays. You got Kyle Trask. I don't know why. Still trying to get receivers fed. I don't know why. Even if he's competing for a spot, maybe they just didn't have another player to put in at left guard there. But if you look at that play, go back and watch that play. And I did. I've watched it many times. That play that Aaron Stinney's injured on, the players were just settled. They just settled up in. They're just blocking in the middle. They're just blocking because there's no direction. Coach is not telling them, drive it, plow the fields, open the hole, drive it down the field. Let's just run the ball. How you doing, brother? Have a evening. Run the ball down the field, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to see White. We're going to see Keyshawn Vaughn. We're going to get these guys. He's just standing up in there. They're mixing it up. The Titans overpowered him, and he gets the players up on the back of his leg, gets the ACL and the MCL. I'm not saying Aaron Stinney gets injured because of coaching, but what I'm saying is, and please, comments, Last night, you tell me what the game plan was, because all I saw was Jake Camarda had great punting. You didn't even put Ryan Suckup in a position to get long field goals. If Ryan Suckup and Borgales are actually competing for the kicking job for your Buccaneers in 2022, you didn't even work on getting them. The Bucs only had the ball inside the Tennessee Titans. 3 times they snapped the ball inside the Titans' 30-yard line. That is how bad it was last night. And yes, it is a Mike Vrabel coach team. And yes, they are a good defensive team. Vrabel's going to bring that kind of defense. But my problem isn't the score, that we had no success. We didn't get down there. We didn't score a touchdown. I wanted to see everyone get off. There was still some nice passes. My problem is, if that's the flat team that you get from the Buccaneers in the second week of a meaningless game, if that team comes out as flat as they did last night and get their asses handed to them by Mike Vrabel and those Tennessee Titans, then what's going to happen in week 1, 3 weeks from now, when we're in Dallas on that first opening night, 8 o'clock nationally televised? What's going to happen a week later when we go into New Orleans against a very motivated Dennis Allen coach, defensive-minded New Orleans team? What's going to happen week 3 when Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur and those Packers come in here? Because the team I saw show up in Tennessee last night, they were about as motivated as a man that was on his way to the electric chair and he's walking, dead man walking, because that's exactly what your Buccaneers looked like last night at Nissan Field there in Tennessee. If you agree with me, please comment. If you don't agree with me, please comment. But they looked like a dead man walking to the electric chair last night. They did not want to be there. And I'm not worried about the scheme or the lack of offense. I don't want to see anything. I don't want to have any trick shown as the lightning starting. I got a beautiful black sky, but I wanted to bring the sunset there in back of the Treasure Island Bridge again out here at Krabby's on the Pass. But last night, that Todd Bowles coach team looked like a man walking to the electric chair, and they were walking as slow as possible because they didn't want to be there. And if you can't get these guys, even guys that aren't going to be on this team, if you can't get them up and motivated for a second week preseason game in Tennessee, how is it going to be when the lights, when the hitting's real, when the shots are being fired, when the fire is real in 3 weeks in Dallas? That's what I'm worried about. Johnny Dean says they don't care about score. They're looking at personnel only, and the Bucs O-line needs a lot of looks. As far as Brady, all the speculation in the world doesn't matter. And you're right, it doesn't matter, Johnny. We can say that he's having marital problems, or he's 45. He's having second choices. Maybe, gosh forbid, his mom has a relapse with the illness that she had. His father spent 2 weeks, almost went on a ventilator during COVID in 2020. He's realized now that you can't miss these times. I mean, we don't blame Tom for where he's at. But if it's so pre-planned, if this was all, the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted and we all knew about it, then how come last week when they asked him when he's going to return, simple question, under no duress, Todd Bowles' exact answer was, we do not have a date for his return. Wow. Okay. Pre-planned, but you don't know when. How pre-planned was this? Did Tom just tell you back in June or back in March that, hey, some point in August, my ass is out of here, I'm going to get on that $7 million boat of mine and just head toward the Bahamas or head over toward the Bermuda Triangle, loop around the state, don't know when I'm going to be back, this train's to leave it on the last train to Clarksville? If it's so pre-planned, and I'm not saying we're worried about Tom not being responsible to get back into camp. My problem is, if the company, the line that the company's towing all along is it's pre-planned, then how do you not even have an idea of when that return, when the answer to that question, Todd Bowles says, is we'll revisit it after the Tennessee game? Again, I'm just speculating. It's what I do. I speculate questions. We're just asking questions here on a Sunday night. Little cup array from down here. Beautiful Krabby's on the Pass. You see the people out here having a couple drinks, having some libations, grabbing some great food. These storms are coming in from the east. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to go, but I will go until the storms hit, because that's how I do here on Cup of Ray. Johnny Dean says, you guys know Tom is more than likely making the movie he was cleared to make before he came back. Okay. Here's the thing. We see it with other we see it with, let's go back to Deion Sanders when he played both NFL and baseball that one year, so many years ago, where he gets on a plane, gets here, goes there, gets on a plane, comes back here, goes there. Now, Johnny Dean, I'm fine if it's family. Tom's told his family he was retiring, but to come back, he said, look, I got to come back. And they said, well, we planned this special thing for your 45th. It's going to be 3 weeks. We're going to go, we're going over. We're going to do a safari in Africa. We're going to ride the elephants. Tom's on a big giraffe, big giraffe Tom's riding along there. The goat's riding a giraffe all around the Serengeti or what have you. If it's family, fine. If it's anything, fine. If anything, Tom Brady's earned the right to step away from camp. But again, pre-planned, Everything, we knew all about it. It's been in advance, which I truly believe. I believe that Tom had told them. And maybe, and what is pre-planned? Pre-planned may have been he told them the night before, hey, I've got a family issue. I'm flying to California. I got an issue with Giselle's side of the family. We're going to be down in Brazil. I got to show, here, she's letting me come back. She's a trooper coming back from my 23rd season. My third season as the Buccaneers quarterback, but I've got to show her that I'm there for her. It's the next stage of my life. It'd be worse if we heard that the reason why he's off is because he's spending the last 2 weeks in a Fox booth somewhere working on his play-by-play because he's getting ready for getting in the booth next year. I don't think that's the case. My problem is that, and if it is that movie, you could go do that movie. It's over in Texas. It's just across the Gulf of Mexico. It's a 2-hour flight. One, if you're flying on a Lear that Tom owns, or the Glaziers give him a plane or whatever, there's no reason why he's not here at camp, still getting installed, still working with these receivers, still showing up and showing out. And you got it. Here's the thing I have, and let me see what your comments are on this, guys and girls, here on a Sunday night. At what point does this start to become a distraction for the other players in the locker room? Because in 2020, we saw Tom step in here and everybody got right in line because they realized the chance they had to play with the greatest of all time, the most committed, the most sacrificial, the guy who they knew was going to do everything it took. Again, his father was dealing with COVID, 5 minutes away from going on a ventilator there in 2020. 14 days in the hospital, the family, the sisters, and they stood over on the West Coast. They said, Tom, you stay there in Tampa Bay and take care of your business, and we'll take care of Dad. And that's the kind of cat that Tom Brady is. But if you think if the other 52 of the other guys are here sweating and toiling and working every day, and they hear the reason why is because Tom's getting the food service truck and hanging out in a trailer with Edelman and Gronk and whoever else, Danny Amendola over there in Texas because they're working on that movie. Wow. So at what point, all it takes is just a question. Sometimes just a little question. Hey, how committed is he? How serious is this? We're out here toiling and sweating, and Stinny's blowing his knee out, and we're really working hard. We got new players here that he should be getting timing with. But, if that was the case, I don't think we'll ever know. Maybe we will know at some point what the reason Tom stepped away. Again, the thing I didn't like this week, I didn't like when Bowles said that we don't have a return date, but we'll revisit it after the Tennessee Titans game. Hear that thunder? That's a lot of open-ended right there. And when I heard that, that's when my antenna, again, that's when my antenna goes up, because I'm like, I was fine with Tom. He's taking a month off. He's probably having Julio spend the night like he did with Antonio back in the day. He's going to get on the same page. No one's going to watch more film, be more ready, be more committed than Tom. But to hear that it's been planned, it was, they gave it to him in advance. It was okay. We're fine with it. Jason Light said, we know about it. Todd Bowles said, we don't know when it's going to be. He says last week, it's open-ended. We're going to have to find out. We're going to revisit it after the Tennessee Titans game. Now I'm like, well, wait a minute. You didn't have a planned date for him to come back? There wasn't even if he'd have said that he's coming back, he's cleared until after the Indianapolis Colts game, because he's not going to get any playing time there. And he's going to buckle down and be ready to go. Even if they said, he's not coming back till the day after our last preseason game. He's coming back in to watch film when we've got the 53 that are going to be on this ride or die on this team for 2022. And Tom's coming back then. I'm like, great. You knew he stepped away. It was a full month. You got a date. But when they asked Todd Bowles the date last week, he says, we don't have a date for return. We're going to revisit that after the Tennessee Titans game. That wasn't just a coach being media savvy. That was a coach genuinely telling you, we don't have a date of return. We don't know when he's coming back. How pre-planned was this? I don't know. It was completely open-ended. We don't know when he's coming back. We'll revisit it after the Tennessee Titans game. And, talking about last night, we saw this last week. Greg Allman of The Athletic. Oh, let me see this. Johnny Dean comes in here and says, Ray, they said sometime after the Titans game. That was yesterday. If he isn't here sometime next week, then worry. And I get you, JD. Thanks for commenting. I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all, because it's a game. It's the 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. It's a dance. The media asks the questions. The players try to hide it. The coaches try to give the conservative answer. Nobody wants to give too much. Everybody wants to appear like they're giving everything, but nobody wants to give anything. And we see Tom working on it out now. We talk about how he's going to have to step into that booth and become Fox's #1 paid analyst. He's going to have to know how to give, but not give too much. I don't worry about that. I'm not worried about him coming back. My point is, when Bowles was asked last week, it wasn't just sometime after the Titans game he'll be back. It was, we don't know when he'll be back. We'll revisit it after the Titans game. That's your head coach. So even if there's nothing to worry about, your head coach, the guy in charge, the one whose butt is on the line for 2022 to get your Buccaneers back to the championship game, to the Super Bowl out there in Arizona, the guy who needs to know more than anything, the head coach, doesn't know the date of return. He says, look, we don't have a date of return. We're going to revisit it after the time. He didn't say, oh, it'll be sometime after the Titans game, or we'll talk to Tom after. He said, we don't have a date of return, but we'll revisit it. But great news last night, and Greg Allman of The Athletic reported, you heard Bruce Arians in the third quarter there up in the booth with Rondé Barber, and kind of alluded to the fact that maybe he's going to be going into the Ring of Honor in the October game versus those Kansas City Chiefs. And I turned to my wife, and I'm like, it looks like there was news broken that Bruce Arians is going to go in the Ring of Honor. And I love my wife. She's like, don't you have to wait 5 years to? I said, no, honey, that's the Hall of Fame. It's 5 years after you retire. Some even posed that maybe you shouldn't have to, or, if they waited 5 years for a Peyton Manning, they're going to wait for Tom Brady. But no, the Buccaneer Ring of Honor is a team decided thing. It comes immediately. And of course, last night, Bruce Arians alluded to that during the game, that he'll be going into the Ring of Honor. And I think everybody would agree that Bruce Arians does belong in that Ring of Honor. Man, I hope this rain doesn't come. I've been watching it, and you're going to see this tiki cruise out here, a whole big group out there. They got the tiki bar out there traveling, and they got someone driving the boat. And I was watching the storms all afternoon, trying to decide if I was going to come on here, and I wanted to talk about this. But I guess the sea breeze has died down because these storms are coming in now. So I'm not sure how much time I have left. So really, if there's anyone else, is there anyone else? Because I mean, y'all were blowing up my Facebook page and Instagram, and we were having some DMs back and forth. And, a lot of y'all were alluding to the fact that, yeah, the team that showed up last night, that flat team, that team that looked completely that team that looked like that they should have been going to the airport instead of Nissan Stadium to take on those Titans. Again, not worrying about the score. Knowing that half these guys aren't going to be on this team come September or come that first week versus those Dallas Cowboys, realizing and putting all things in perspective with the preseason. But you still want, and hats off to Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, hats off to that defense, because they were blowing it up early. When you had the first defense, and well, at least most of the first defense against what probably was most of the Titans, except for it wasn't Tannehill and wasn't Derrick Henry, but you had that Buccaneers defensive line, and you had a lot of your ones in there. You had Joe Tryon-Shoyinka blowing up the middle. You love what you saw from that kid. He wasn't getting pushed aside because of a lack of weight. Look at this boat. So many roads. You're going to see this boat come through my shot right here. It is beautiful. Love what you saw from Joe Tryon. Love what you saw from that defense. There were a little Jake Camarda, even though you take into account the fact that the Buccaneers couldn't tackle a punt returner, but Jake Camarda with those kicks, loving the fact that kid's got a booming leg, was nailing some great punts. So there was a little bit of stuff to look right to. And I know I'm coming in dark. Do you see that big boat that went through there? That was small. God. 4 275s on that thing. So what is that? That's going to be 1,000 horsepower. Doesn't get a little sip of my tea. But yeah, I don't. Let me see. I got Johnny Dean has another comment. Thanks, Johnny. I appreciate you so much, brother. Bucs aren't winning a Super Bowl this season. Sorry, but the O-line issues at the moment with the schedule not happening. Last season was the best bet for that ship. Yeah, I mean, now you look at you got Tristan Wirfs now with what is going on with the hammy. You got Ryan Jensen. They're going to wait till the season starts. You got Stinney going down last night now with the ACL, MCL. It's really starting to look like. Oh, you love that view, Johnny Dean. Thank you, bro. Yeah, I'm just down here loving the people. They're watching the storm roll in. I apologize. This is going to be so unprofessional. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do this show. I had to get it off my chest. Oakland, and you guys know I said this. I know that we can have this debate back and forth. I don't think that it was Garoppolo was that MFer and I know that Tom Brady wanted to get back and go because he's from San Mateo. He wanted to go play for his childhood idol, those San Francisco 49ers. He was there for the Dwight Clark and Joe Montana to catch. But all I know is that I said there were several teams when he said, "Oh, you're going to go with that guy," and he didn't say it as politically correct as that. And now you hear that it was signed. As far as White from the UFC says, it was signed, sealed, delivered. I had it, done deal. Gronkowski and Brady were going to go to the Las Vegas Raiders. And, man, what a story that would have been. And then, of course, John Gruden blew it up at the last minute. And, that guy could have been Derek Carr. That guy could have been Tua Tagovailoa down there in Miami. That guy didn't have to be Jimmy Garoppolo with those San Francisco 49ers. But I guess, nobody's coming in here. So I guess we'll go ahead and say that we're not worried about the fact, again, that Tom Brady, there's no return date for it. I'm not trying to start a rumor. Does anybody have any inside scoop as to why Tom missed that time? Why did he take the full month off? Was it family? Was it a pre-planned birthday? Was it some, beautiful soul inspirational, him and Giselle where they're doing, it's like that commercial, where they're sitting in the bathtubs holding hands on a mountain view somewhere? Was it just something that they did for their marriage and for their, to refine themselves, to recalibrate that beautiful marriage of theirs, or working on that movie or what have you? Anyone have any guesses at all?
Hmm.
The thing is, just because we don't get comments during the show, because I hit you guys at a weird time during dinner here. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to come back in here later on and look at these shows. I posed the questions. I just wanted to see what y'all thought. Again, I'm not worried as much as I seemed. And I said this, I went back and watched my Cup of Ray from 2 weeks ago, and I said, wow, that was a fantastic game against the Dolphins last night. It was preseason. It was Kyle Trask against a bunch of fourth and fifth, sixth stringers. I wasn't saying that this team was ready to. I didn't think Kyle Trask is ready to be the Buccaneers starter. Still has a lot of lumps to take. Kind of thought they should have just brought him out and started last night and let Blaine sit on. If Blaine's your starter, Blaine's your backup to Tom Brady. He's been in this offense for 7 years. I don't know why you don't have a plan. You just don't go, look, Kyle's going to just be our starter and play the entire game. And we're going to mix and match people in and out of there. We're going to go run heavy. We're going to mix in some passes. I don't know why you ran Blaine Gabbert out there for 4 plays. It was like, again, you're just trying to prove to the entire world that Ryan still knows how to put on his shoulder pads. Good for him. He was able to do, got a beautiful shorebird here. And the boats are starting to come in here as this rain's getting close. So, again, I apologize. Usually I like to run this thing for an hour. I'm going to go ahead and bust out of here. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Let all y'all that have been DMing me back and forth all day know I wasn't. The Bucs aren't going to win or lose the Super Bowl based on last night's performance against the Tennessee Titans in a preseason game. I just didn't, it really, I hate to do this because I'm be the last person that wants to try to hold someone's past against him. But looking at Todd Bowles on the sideline last night and the way he looked lost. I don't mean the moment was too big for him, but the way he looked, that blank expression on his face, it took me right back to when he was standing on the sidelines with those New York Jets. And he can run a great defense. Didn't know his ass from a hole in the ground what was going on the offensive side of the ball. They went in last night. They had absolutely no consistency plan. I don't care if they never throw the ball. I don't care if you're just going to run, and run. Student body left, student body right, student body left, and run a trap, run a quick, hitch up the middle, student body left, student body right, maybe a screen. I have no problem with that. I'm not looking at a preseason game and looking to see what this Buccaneers offense is going to look like in 2022. Oh, what's Kyle Rudolph going to look like? And oh my gosh, is Keefe going to be more than a blocker? Or are we going to, all I wanted to see was a team that didn't get as out coached as they got. And I wasn't there. I didn't get to look like I did last weekend at Raymond James Stadium. And I got to see the coaches on the sideline and Bruce Arians on the bench with Jason Light and, surveying before the game. And I thought that was fantastic. Talking about Bruce Arians and working with those quarterbacks and the fact that the quarterback whisperer going back with Manning and Roethlisberger and the history that Bruce Arians has working with these quarterbacks. But, oh, yeah, I apologize. I didn't even share this link. I'm gonna try to share this link right here before I get this rain coming in here. I'm a couple minutes off, but stand with me 1 second. Let me see if I can copy this in here. See if I can get this cat in here right now. I apologize. I should have shared the link right up front, but there I am trying to get the show on, and I didn't share the link. It's probably too late already to get this guy in here. I've been wanting to get him in and talk to him for a couple of weeks now. Let me go ahead and just see if I could put it in here. And just in case he can hop in here, because he's one of my besties as far as talking Buccaneer football, because he knows it inside and out. He knows what's going on. And maybe he's got a different take, or maybe he's got the same take we're talking about here. And I may have to, the big pirate ship come. I wish I could show you guys this. I actually could if I shared the link to my phone and tried to show you on reverse screen there, but got the pirate ship with the lights coming in here, coming into the port here at John's Pass. Again, I'm out here at Krabby's on the Pass having a great great evening, enjoying the sunset behind the Treasure Island Bridge. And just after all the DMs and talking with people today, I really wanted to clear my soul and just say, look, I didn't think the season was going to be won or lost on a field there in Tennessee. I just would have liked to have seen a team that didn't look like they were completely lost, a coaching staff that didn't look like they had a clue as to what was going on. Um, Still saw that Kyle still holds on to, oh, there's some lightning. So yeah, I apologize. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. So there's my broadcast. I hope you guys have a great evening. Thanks for joining me. I'll look for the comments